Hello everyone, and welcome to VOD review number 6 featuring Ilios, and particularly the well. This is a map that I want to take a close in-depth look on because we have a dive composition running here with a little bit of Reaper, and I noticed there are some positioning mistakes and a few things that could be improved here, so I hope everybody finds this to be a beneficial video when talking about dive, when coordinating dive, and a few things that I've learned over the years for clock management and positioning in order to engage at the right time and at the correct angles. So let's let's look at what we did here for the second engagement. Okay, and the first thing that we notice here is that, yeah, like it's okay to take your time and be grouped up together. I see all 6 team members are right here, that's fine. And what I would suggest to do is have our diva use defense matrix here as a conal and then block as we walk across or whatever, because it only takes a couple of seconds. They do have the Orisa, so at most you're gonna try and defense matrix the halt, and then dynamite already went out, so that, I mean, that's not a big deal, but big alt charge for the Ash though. And as we rotate here, just 2 seconds of defense matrix, what I would recommend is going through here, or if you want to try the other route as all 6 and go in through this room into the mini health pack and then loop around here, and you can go all the way around. That takes a little bit longer, but since they were playing kind of a positional game and they were kind of moving around the well area or whatnot, you can take your time and you can use either the far right flank or you can practice the far left flank here. And I would stay away from the well area itself, especially when they have Lucio, Sigma, and Orisa, and all of them can knock you into the well. Don't forget about well-placed Sigma rocks, though it's more difficult to do at, say, 3000 SR than it would be for a top 500 Sigma player, but nonetheless, that is an option, as well as Coach Gun. So they do have 4 total knockbacks you have to be aware of, compared to our essentially 3 and a sleep dart. But let's see what happens here. And this is the main thing, like having to use cooldowns early in order to save yourself to get into position is something that I would like for everyone to avoid in the future. It's okay, of course, to booster in and whatnot, but when you're using your Winston barrier there rather than having your Winston barrier here, right where you need to get like a big nade in onto your team, maybe anti some of them as well, a couple of their supports, maybe a DPS or a tank as well, and then you'd have 2 more seconds of defense matrix after you're using it here as a conal to block the incoming damage from this angle, and then just wrap around here. You'll have your 2 seconds of defense matrix back. You can try and block some of that big chunk damage, maybe another dynamite, a coach gun, the E ability from Torb, and a little bit of the spam damage from, say, Orisa or Sigma. So, I mean, there's options there. This composition doesn't exactly do that much damage. Like, Torb can, but like your main damage dealer is Ash. So like if you can dive the Ash reasonably while matrixing the coach gun and maintaining a close proximity to her, like that's probably half of their damage with this comp would just be the Ash and the big, like, eating the dynamite. Oh, you still managed to get a kill on the Baptiste. That's awesome. And then you're able to get out. Yes, and once again, a little bit too early here. We're not fully grouped. We still have our Ana player back here. And I'm not quite sure. Maybe that's Salem right there. Okay, he did get back in time, but yes. So, we have... Okay. There's Diva, Winston, Salem, Lucio, Reaper. Okay, we have 5 here, but we're missing a key component of the group. But as you're proceeding through here, you don't want to cut through like this window here. You want to go either to the door frame here and then move across in through there, or you can take the shortcut and then defense matrix, and then Winston can jump in, and then you can booster in with the Diva, and then collapse here, and then put your nice big bubble on top of them as well. So that is one option, but yes, like avoid doing like this stuff or this stuff because you need to close the distance either by going here or by going around through here and then back out. So, I mean, that's always an option there as well if you're going on to the far right flank. We can discuss maneuvers up like the stairs and then coming down as a flank. Like that is a like a third option. Going a really long flank, but most of the time teams just don't have the time for that kind of maneuvering unless you're opening up with a flank that is that long because of the percentage factor as well. Like they're going to be to like 63, 65% before you're actually able to engage. That's one of the reasons why you have about 4 fights on control minimum, but you know you're only going to get 4 if you're not able to swing the percentage or control point back into your favor. So keep that in mind. And let's see what happens here. Okay, yes, again, so early use of the Winston barrier. Nobody's in position. Everybody's coming through this front angle against a double shield, which the Sigma can cut you off here, or he can cut you off over here, or he can cut you off here. So yes, so you're going to get double shield in your face. So it's important to get a very coordinated dive here. And yes, it's okay to run Reaper against this because he can, Star Rift can Wraith out and then just kind of like walk up here as the other 4 members of your team are diving, and then Anna's supporting from range, either poking from here or poking from like either here, like something like that. But there's a couple angles that Anna's can play in. Like you could poke from here and then probably not get halted into the well, like as long as you're, you know, positioned around the pillar or whatnot a little bit, and then, you know, maintaining that that line of sight, say from right here or right here, and then you'll have a nice area to shoot and nade the enemy team. So let's see how we go here. Yeah, like again, because you didn't have your barrier when you guys came in, like, you know, Reaper and Diva followed up, but like you were already dead and you didn't have your barrier, so there wasn't like a whole lot of options for you. When you dive in first, it's okay to dive in a second first before your Diva because you're putting down the barrier, and then Diva's going to come in with 2 seconds of defense matrix and block a lot of that damage that's going to come onto your face. Anna's there, so she's going to shoot you and keep you alive long enough for the rest of your team to get there, so she should be able to support. Though it is more difficult to support with Ana against double shield if the shields are still cutting you off. So you do have the option of swapping to Mercy and flying in with your Winston and Diva, but you know, it is what it is, so it depends on what group composition you guys want to run, but if the double shield is too much of an issue for your Ana to maintain healing onto your tanks and DPS, then there is always that Mercy option, and of course Mercy and Lucio are perfectly fine on well as well, so let's see what we're going here. Alright, so they use Sound Barrier and Bob to counter the Blade. And again, another thing that I'd recommend is not using Hog against double shield, because the hooks will be blocked probably 80% of the time. Of course, it depends on how well the enemy Orisa places barriers and the enemy Sigma, but if they're actively trying to block your team, then it's going to be much more difficult for the Hog. I would recommend either Zarya here or D.Va still, because D.Va can get a lot of work done there, so those would be my two flex tank options. Or you can always run the Sigma yourself and go in with Waffle having a double shield or whatnot. So I mean, you are very flexible in the tank position. I just feel like for the double shield, you'd actually probably get more value out of Hammond rather than Roadhog, because of all that damage that's going to be blocked by their shields, and of course they have Sigma to eat up some of your pellets, and it's going to be more difficult for you to land that key hook against their not only their backline, but you know, somebody like a high priority target like their Ashe or their Baptiste. So yeah, I'd say like those are your two priority like hook targets, would be those two. So let's see how this goes. Yeah, and I'd say one other thing here, Star Rift, to help you out in the future. You were kind of leading the charge there, and it's okay to use your Wraith form to get into position over here, but I'd say like wait up LOS a little bit in this little area and wait for your tanks to get in front of you, and then engage right behind them so you have that added layer of protection, because this guy was doing a pretty good job of hitting shots, and so was the Torb, so that'll give you a little more survivability, just staying right behind that front line. That was a great sleep. Yeah, so that would be my suggestions for dive onto like Well or Sanctum. Essentially think of this map as Sanctum, because you have this open pit area and then a little bit of a ledge to stand on over here, and then this is like the safe area, and then this is where you don't stand, but like either you can come in from this direction and go around the long way on that on the right side flank if you're coming in from you know, this angle, and then you have that option to go mid-ground and either drop down onto point if they're contesting point early, or you can wrap around this way on mid-ground. So there are some options there, but like I would play this the same way that you can play Well. Sanctum and Well being essentially one and the same in terms of map positioning, so you can think of it as the same map, a very similar control. You have the same amount of distance from the spawn point out there all the way to the map, so I'd say either come around here and use this angle and this flank if they're set up here, or if they're set up over here like they were that entire time, you can either use this flank and go far right together and then use all your cooldowns as soon as you're right able to engage. It's okay to walk up here as Winston and D.Va right through this little corridor area right here, and then wait for cooldowns with your team, and then just walk right up to their team, place your barrier, and then your defense matrix as well. So your defense matrix in the shots that come in, and that is perfectly okay. And same thing with this other side here, since the map is essentially ambidextrous, if you want to use that term, but on both the Sanctum and the Well. So that would be a solid strategy for dealing with these long corridors. Now, Dive does not like long corridors. It doesn't like to stand here and get shot at from over here. So what you want to do is, when you're playing Dive, or you're even playing Rein Zarya, you want to close the distance from here and go around into there, because you don't want to stay here and just take punishing damage. And that's like one of the things on, say, a map like Hanamura, when you're standing there at the choke, and it's okay to use this choke area there on Hanamura when the defenders are here, 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 and here, and here, because it is like you can move in, wait for your cooldowns, you can move into the room there, and then you can move in to the mid ground, or you can take high ground up the stairs and then go behind and then hit them onto the point. But either way, you're going to have to use the space here, and that's perfectly fine to use this space here and wait for your cooldowns and then go into the room and then wait a couple more minutes, or a couple more seconds. But the issue is closing. I think we need to practice closing the distance as a team, because like standing right here with Dive and then trying to dive a long way, like you want to close that distance like to the mid ground to like here, or to over here, and then dive over, because that's a much shorter distance, it's much easier to manage, you can get a more precise dive, and it's going to reduce your risk of getting halted inside the well and then game's over. So those are my thoughts on positioning for the well specifically. So I'm going to fast forward here. Alright. And once again, this is alright positioning, because we are inside, we're taking cover, and we've got some sight lines here, and you can work around the sight line there, and Twistic has a sight line there. And so let's see how this one plays out. Yes, okay, so unfortunately, Waffle got cut off from the team there, because we were... It's okay to have DPS fire split a little bit and try and pick off both supports at the same time. That's not a problem, but you were line of sighting your primary healer. So if you want to make sure, you need to know where your Ana is so that they can reach you at all times. So if you're playing like from this position inside, you want to stay right on your enemy's Reinhardt, because they don't have a Zarya, they have a D.Va, so that's going to give you an advantage, and that's going to give you an advantage. So you want to make sure that you have a good sightline for your Ana player to keep you up and healthy, and it's okay to not go way far out. Like, it's okay to hit this Reinhardt and try and punish him while maintaining a sightline for your Ana, either through the middle choke or through that little left corridor here into the open courtyard. Yeah, this is fine. Getting some poke in, getting some alt charge, because they know you're going to have to play passive. They're going to take point because you lost your Reinhardt first, but it's okay to get some nice alt charge. You are playing reasonably safe, and you do have these Zarya bubbles for both of you, so yes. Yes, Twisted, please come back to the rest of your team through here, and then help push in as a group onto the Reinhardt and D.Va. That was an unfortunate anti on you. Oh, you tried to get away. Okay, so I'll skip ahead. 6 fight. Yeah, so I mean they're playing pretty tightly packed here. So you can either go through here, which I would do, and then come out. That way you don't have to risk getting shot in the face by their Ashe and Torb on your approach. You can use cover, and using cover here or using cover around here, that's fine. But I like my favorite approach there with their positioning would be through here or through there. So either way, and create like a pincer maneuver there. So let's see how this goes. Big nano boost. And they got huge value from that just from using nano, so when you can win a fight just with one ultimate, that is ideal. I mean, I do like the early tire there, so don't give up on the early tires, Salem. I do like your early tires because you were trying to maybe get a pick on that Lucio or get a pick on that Ashe, drawing some fire, but like as a group, when Salem tires, you guys need to push in with 5, and then that way it'll like draw some fire away from the tire, and you can use that as a little bit of cover and move in because they're going to be focused on either the tire or they're going to back out into a corner. Somebody is going to disperse, either this way or this way with the tire, and then you can pounce on them, regardless, you know, what that is. So you can call a target, and then you can try and eliminate them during the rip tire.
Do something!
Good sleep on Bob. Unfortunate anti. And you go for the shatter. Yeah, that was a good contest attempt there. Great boop. Great boop. I saw that boop. Good stuff on D.Va. She might be able to boost her out, but let's see. Oh, nice. You got her. You got her. I know there's core over point, but yeah, so I mean that's good, Waffly. That's good that you're utilizing Hammond, and because of that, you went from what 2%, 3%, 7, and then you went all the way up to 51. Yeah, just on one boop. So yeah, halfway to ult there. Good job. Oh, we almost got another tire too in time. Yeah, Salem building up those ults quick. You did almost have Grav, Daddy, so I'd say the main thing with you, Daddy, is like, or Metro, is right-clicking more, and I'll give you an example of that back here when you're trying to push in. Yes, right here, right here. So, yeah, breaking that shield and hitting D.Va a little bit, that'll get you more ult charge, but primarily removing the Reinhardt shield here and killing him. So that's like a big ult booster for you. You guys are playing a little bit safe, so you can push up a little bit because you do have that big shield in front of you, stuff like that. Unfortunate nade, you weren't able to cleanse yourself and Waffle because you both got naded, but you know, little things like that. I know your Zarya has been improving a lot lately, so I will give you big compliments for that. But just like little positioning errors here and like minor mistakes are causing fights to be lost when you are more than capable of winning them. So just, you know, dive is going to be the toughest, I think, for our team because we're just not used to running it. It was a it was kind of like the meta in the world from like seasons 2 through 9, and then 10 through 10 through 17 was some sort of hybrid of goats until roll queue came out, and then 222. But that's just what I've noticed. So I hope this helps you guys out, and I look forward to playing with you guys again with another scrim here and improving on some dive in custom games. Perhaps we can scrim ourselves and get a couple people in. We can dive each other, stuff like that, or we can practice dive against a bunker, or we can practice dive against a group composition that kind of looks like what Anna's team was running with the, I believe this was the one Spitfire. Yes, so stuff like that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.